In 2018, I said I quit from my normal 9 to 5. I was just sick and tired of not being valued at my job. I was being paid way too little, had all asked for multiple raises, and I was like, I'm just gonna go out on my own because honestly, I could probably make a very similar amount. So I did. I went out and I named my business Rebecca Creative because I was like, I don't know what creative endeavor this will be. Um, and so I started with social media management, website design, logo design, and the first course I ever purchased was a photography course because I was like, we're gonna try all the things. And since then, it has grown. It has provided for my family, and I'm just gonna go a little bit into like everything that how I started the business and then how I continued. So I will say like although my business has changed and pivoted a lot over the past 6-ish years, the mission has never changed. Like my mission has always been to like learn the heart of my clients and just provide them with something that is, fresh, familiar, and profitable, and just to be their biggest cheerleader. And so, although that has looked different in many different capacities, that mission statement has always been what has stayed true. So, I put in my notice in about May and obviously went out in June. And then quickly, our family ended up, my husband and I, we'd only been together for 6 months, married, and we got shipped to a new state. So it was just a whole lot of change right off the bat. And I am so lucky that I had insurance through him. I know starting off on your own, that's like one of the hurdles that a lot of people have to overcome. So I always want to state that I had that to help me. And although he wasn't bringing in a ton of money, he was bringing in some money. So there was a cushion of like a safety net there. Um, and so I started my business by just honestly posting on Instagram and just kind of sharing the journey of me working behind the scenes at coffee shops and things like that. And my personal Instagram, I was able to get a lot of clients just through that, just through connections. And that was a really great starting point. And it took me like I always advocate to people like do your SEO, do your blogging, things like that. And eventually you can get your clients. And now I probably get about 90% of my clients through Google and search engines, but that was not the case in the beginning of my business. So I definitely think like just put yourself out there, see what works, and over time you can change and adapt. So that is, again, that's how I started. And I in the beginning had all those things, and then I eventually really realized I did not love designing logos. I was very stressed out shooting weddings. I was like, no, shout out to all you photographers out there. um, and website design was just something I really loved, and so I had that become my primary focus in like 2019ish. And then 2020 happened, and so as most entrepreneurs know, we had to change and pivot. And so 2020, I decided like a lot of people aren't going to be able to probably afford a brand new website. But what if I had a really low ticket offer? And so I started with website in a day. And I have since really honed that whole process, and I'm going to create a video next week. So subscribe if you haven't because it'll pop up then. But all about how to become a website in a day designer and if it is really a good fit for you. But it worked so well with my personality and just how I vibe. Like, I am somebody that's like, I'm not a perfectionist. I am someone that's like, get the website out into the world because once it's out in the world, you can start gaining SEO and traction and everything. Like, you can always fine tune it and tweak it. And so, Website in a Day worked really well because I was able to provide people with this low ticket offer. I think the first couple I did was like $450, which is probably way too low, but whatever, I did that. And so I could provide them with this, and then I could do an hour training at the end teaching them how to add pages and whatnot. And so it was a really great service for new entrepreneurs. And I just, I did a couple at that really low price, ticked it up to $650, ticked it up to $875. I was at $875 for a long time, and it's just like gradually over the course of the past 40 website in a days I've done, I'm now at $1850, and I feel really good about that price point. So that is how my business changed in the service way. I also figured out that I really loved serving new entrepreneurs, but I could not make a living off of having a low ticket offer. So I decided to pivot again and create a course. And so that's when my SEO course for Squarespace came about, as well as my Squarespace with Confidence course that taught entrepreneurs how to design a Squarespace website. And although those courses are not they're not my moneymaker. They are something I'm really passionate about, and I love teaching people how these skill sets to just be able to design a website well enough that it can get out into the world, it can start getting them clients, it can reflect them, and then they can make changes and updates. Because as you just heard my story, entrepreneur's journey never linear. It's not, usually you don't go into it and that's what you're doing in 5 years. There's ways it has changed. And so if you aren't capable of making those updates on your website, then you're paying someone, which if you have the funds, that's great, but a lot of people don't. So anyway, that's a whole different thing, but I really loved that. And I mean, I would say like one of the biggest like changing points for me in my business was um, I have always wanted to be a mom. I've always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I longed to have children, and then I had a child. And I love her dearly. She's so, so wonderful and has so much personality. But I realized how incredibly hard it is to stay at home full time with someone who has such personality. And she also was dealing with, and she was a colicky baby and all that. And so I I needed some help. I needed some daycare. I didn't have family here, and so I realized once a week daycare was what was going to really help me. And so that was about 2022 ish. I started her in once a week daycare, and I feel like that reinvigorated my passion for my business, which was really great. And I'll link below. I've like posted a ton of articles about like my journey, so I'll link those below if you want to go into more depth with all of these topics. But having her in daycare just gave me that creative like freedom again, and like eyes open again to be able to do my work. Because honestly, before that, I was like, I need to just get a normal 9 to 5 job again, because I'm just like so overwhelmed with this baby and I don't want to do my business. But then having her in daycare made me realize I do want to do my business. I love my business. I just needed space. So that was that. And then I had another baby. They're 20 months apart. It's pretty close in age. And he was also a reflux and colicky baby for the first 9 months. And so that was very challenging. So I ended up having them both in daycare twice a week. And that has been a very good arrangement. Probably could even up it to 3 times a week, honestly. And I feel like it gives me enough time to, I wouldn't say propel my business forward. Like I used to have all the time in the world, so I could just try all these things, throw spaghetti at the wall, and just like see what works and sticks. Whereas when you get to this point in your business where time is like, you just don't have it as much, you have to start spending the money. And so I this year in 2024 invested in like the first really, really big investment. It was a $4,000 course to figure out like an aspect of my business that needs to be honed in. So that has been my journey. I am so thankful for this business. I'm so thankful that I'm able to be home with my kids part-time. I'm recording this video during their nap time because their nap time happens to coincide right now, which never happens. But yeah, I'm just really thankful, and I think right now I have a really good arrangement. So if you are somebody who is thinking about wanting to start a business, and maybe you even are interested in starting like a website design business, I have been asked to like have a course that teaches people how to do this, and I just do not have the capacity to create a course. So I am linking below a free boot camp that Paige Brunton hosts. Paige Brunton is like the queen of Squarespace. When I started my business back in 2018, I did WordPress at first, and then I realized I'm handing these websites out to clients and they can't update them. So I switched over to Squarespace, and I design on Squarespace and show it only now. And when I was like learning Squarespace, I would type anything related to Squarespace, and her blogs always popped up. Shout out to SEO. So she is like the queen of Squarespace in my eyes. And she built just this really profitable business where she was making the 10K months. She was having, a 6-month wait list, like really a great business. And she just has so many skills and ideas and ways to create a really, really profitable business. So she is having this live training. It's in March, or in April, sorry. So if you're watching this at a later date, she hosts it 2 times a year. So I'll link it below, and you can keep your eye out for it. But I think it's gonna be in like April and October. And so it's going to have 3 days jam-packed with live educational trainings, question and answer sessions with other website designers, who have built different kinds of businesses, whether it's like a template business on Squarespace or a website in a day business, things like that. And you'll just learn what it's really like to be a website designer. and how much you could earn if you wanted to, and how to get a head start, and how to land clients, which that day is like very valuable because that's what you ultimately need to do. So I will link that below if you're interested, and let me know if you have any other questions about my business journey or how to start a business. I am wishing you all of the best on your journey.